a demo of the forum kind of Salesforce package and how you could use it. Just like a little bit of background, right? So the forums package is, built for PSOs specifically and kind of our use case for Salesforce. So it kind of, utilizes both the traditional Salesforce functionality plus the nonprofit success pack that comes from salesforce.org, plus what we've done to customize it for our own organization so that, we can do the event registrations that we want and membership dues, all of that kind of thing that, the stuff that we care about the most. And then you can also then make whatever customizations you also want. That's one of the things that is very flexible, and you can, make a lot of adjustments to, make it work for you. And so anything that we kind of show you today is also very flexible, right? So like if you want to see different fields, or like you want a field to be in a different section or different options in a field, or for the most part, like 95% of the time, like those are things that you can change, like this is what our home screen looks like. That doesn't mean that like that's what everyone's has to look like. Like you are able to customize it so that it works best for your organization. So with that, let's just kind of look at, when you first log in, you have your welcome screen. I have it saying welcome to Lightning because we're kind of moving to this new user interface. So that's why that's there. But right now we've got like some helpful lists so that when you log in, you can kind of see important things that you're interested in, right? So if we're seeing like all of the memberships that are still pending, we have upcoming events and meetings, and this is just like a highlight, right? So it's only showing you like the top 5. So if you want to go in and look for more information, you can just click on it and it'll open up like the full kind of list that's there, and then you can kind of move around and like let's say like, oh hey, like I want to look at this public policy peer community record, and then you can just easily open that page right from there. What's really nice also is that like let's say you need to make like quick edits. So like I've noticed that like some of these, like the status for these is like a little outdated and needs to be updated, and so like you could just easily be in this view and like change it from planned to like in progress, because now we're taking registration for these events. So you just can quickly make updates, click save, and then those changes are already made. So it's really easy now to kind of move around and make really quick, nice edits, and you can see like now they're all listed as in progress. And if I went to these records themselves, like that status would have been updated there as well. So just to do some quick things about kind of all of the information that we can capture in Salesforce, we're using accounts, and those are kind of your organizations as well as kind of your groups and committees. So, and it's, it can be both your members, but also it should also be other organizations that you partner with. So you don't have to, some systems that our members use kind of restricts them, like they can only really capture their members in their database, but now like with Salesforce, you can kind of do both. So you can track both your members and other organizations that you partner with, your vendors, but also you kind of the groups, committees, working groups, member networks, whatever you kind of call those, you can also capture there. And we'll go into more detail on what those types of records look like. Opportunities are anything that has to do with money, really. So your grants, your membership dues, sponsorships, event registrations. If you sell any sort of products or like publications, you can capture all of that information in opportunities. Contacts are individual people, humans, whatever terminology helps you to understand. Campaigns are events, and you can also just kind of like group records together with campaigns. They're kind of a little different functionality.
And dues cycles.
Right, yeah, and dues cycles. But and engagements and benefits, kind of self-explanatory, like how are you engaging with your members, current members, potential members, funders, partners, how are you engaging with these organizations, reports, and just, you can run basic, reports on anything that you're kind of capturing in Salesforce, right? So that's kind of, and we'll go into these. And dashboards are just kind of visual representations of your data. So that was a lot of information. Any questions kind of in general about what I've kind of talked about so far?
No, this is Caroline. Julie has used Salesforce before, but I haven't. So Julie might, do you have any questions, Julie, or is this what it looked like when you used it previously?
Yeah, so this is, and my disclaimer is this is a lot more customized, which is not surprising given how Val described how you've developed all this. I mean, we use the the nonprofit starter pack, and we're a much smaller organization, so kind of struggled to really customize it in a way that fully functioned for us. And I think you guys have a lot more support and opportunity for us to do that. And I don't think we need to get into this now, but I think I'd just be curious to hear, how that process would work in helping to support us to customize it, because, we are a different organization than many of the other folks who are using this as a group. And I think that's probably one of my biggest concerns, is just ensuring that it can in fact be customized to meet our needs, and that's not an incredible lift on any of our staff to do that, if that makes sense. But again, we don't need to, I'm sure that's probably maybe for later in the hour.
Sure, and we can, Julie, it's a good question. We can certainly stay on, maybe even stop the recording and discuss those specifics. I think at this time, and this question goes for Denise, who just recently joined, welcome, and Narada, like, is there anything specific that we would like Courtney to cover in this demo? Certainly she will go through all of the objects that she just pointed out, right? The accounts, organizations, and contact opportunities, et cetera, in more depth. But is there anything specific that you wanted to see, or just a general overview?
Probably just general overview.
Okay. All right. Well, Courtney, I guess we won't hold you then. Please carry on.
All right. So before we go into a little bit more detail, I also want to point out the very helpful search bar at the top, which really helps you. One, it kind of gives you these recent items at the very top if you just click in there. But like once you start like typing in things, it'll kind of restrict the results there. So like if you already know like, oh, hey, I do want to go to this account, you can just click on it and you don't have to like do a full search. You can also like search like into specific objects only, so that you're kind of helpful restricting your search for certain items. So let's go into a tab. So if you go into your accounts, and this works kind of the same for all objects, I'm really kind of only going to show it for one, but the concept is the same for all, right? So when you open, you click on accounts, you click on opportunities, you're going to be taken to all of your recently viewed. I have a lot of recently viewed, but if I was logged in as a person who, doesn't use Salesforce as much as I do, like they wouldn't see as many lists. So this is personalized to whoever is logged in. But it comes with standard list views that we think, that we've noticed that some of our members request, but these are really easy to also just build yourself. And so list views just, if you just want to look at your current members and then you can like easily go to those accounts from here, or you can easily go to the contact records. All of these are, links, and they will, except for the website link, which will open their actual website. But these will just quickly open like that actual record. It's a little slow, but it will open that, and like this would open ad fees account record. It's just easy to kind of move around in Salesforce, right? List views are also, you can easily add new columns. So if you just wanted to see, like, let's say, did I not click on that? Well, you can quickly add, I don't know, it's very slow right now. But you can quickly add columns. Here we go. There's an error. Okay. So you can add columns. You can change the sort order quickly. So if you're looking at this and you're saying like, well, that's nice, but like, I don't want to see it in account name alphabetical order. I want to see it like account name in like descending order, like then you can do it that way. You can add charts to the list views. So like if you wanted to see something visually, so this is just like our membership broken down by like the key category of regional versus national TSO. So there is flexible to work with. Again, you can kind of like make those edits quickly. So like if you're like, well, ad fee, like why do they have Alabama selected? I'm not really quite sure. So, you can easily make edits like that. So let's just look into CF leads so that you can see what an account record looks like. So at the very top, you kind of have like the highlight stuff. And you can change what these fields are, but these are just what we think people kind of want to know right away about an organization, right? Like what's their category, like what's their membership status, if they weren't current, like that could say prospective, that could say former, who the primary contact is, the phone number, all of that. You can also now see it'll point out if it thinks there's a duplicate, right? So there isn't one, or at least it's not pointing one out. So, but it also will do this on contacts too. So if there was a possible duplicate, it would have a little warning message here, and it would say like, there's a potential duplicate, like, do you want to merge them together? And then it would, take you through the process of merging those two accounts easily together. Here is what we're showing on our page layout. So you have the organization name. If they have an acronym, you can do that, which is also helpful for like the search, right? So like you might have an organization that has like a very long name, but they also go by this acronym. So you could, put that in there. And the search function will actually search for both. And in your results, you'll see the organization name, plus if you looked for them for their acronym, they would still show up. The basic contact information is all here, and their social media, mission and goal, the address information, contact information, membership info, all of that is kind of able to be captured here. And if you have other information that you want to capture on organizations, very easy to add new fields. I mean, you can't add like a million fields, but you can add, I believe there is a limit, but it's a very high limit, so you will most likely not reach it. You also, records can be related to each other. So if you've got your affiliated contacts, you have all of your opportunities, you can see the events that people are registered with who, are affiliated with that organization, all of the engagement. We capture a very large amount of additional data about our members on a survey that we do every year. And so we capture that information in Salesforce as well. So that is what this is. So if you have similar needs, like if you have, some research that you collect on your members, we can kind of build a new object that can capture the information. Like that's what we'll be doing for funders concerned about AIDS, is that we'll be building them a custom object so that they can capture all of their grant information that they capture around HIV and AIDS grants throughout the world, and that's what they use to do their big report every year. So just something to think about in terms of customizations. When you kind of roll over some of these related things, you'll get this nice like pop-up screen, and you can change what kind of shows here as well, but you can see kind of the big information, right? Like what's their title, and some kind of opportunities there. So especially on like when you're on a contact record, then you can kind of see the key stuff about an organization too. Same thing with the opportunity. So you can see like, oh, like this one isn't paid yet versus like, is this one? Yeah. So it'll show you. Just kind of like a helpful thing. So you don't have to actually like go into that record. You can just kind of see the key highlights that maybe your people most likely want to see. It's also easy to edit, right? So you'll see a little pencil icon next to the fields that are editable, which is for the most part, most of them, unless it's like a formula field that's being calculated from elsewhere. And so, you know, you just click on the little edit icon, or you double click on the field, and then it'll just open the page, and you can just quickly make all of the edits you need, click save, and you're done. And then the changes are automatic, and they would appear everywhere. So if you were like on Carolyn's record, right, and then all of a sudden you were then going to see if Lee's record, the changes that I had made would already be there.
Right, and it's also important to point out that if we're talking about an integrated system, let's say that you're using a website that's also on our platform, if you make a change in Salesforce, just a matter of clicking save here, it will propagate to the website as well, which is a huge benefit that we discussed on the previous call of the integrated system.
Right, and then yeah, and then same thing, right? So if like Carolyn logged in and made a change to her record on the website, or to see if Lee's record on the website, it would then push that also back to Salesforce. So you don't have to, you know, make changes in both places. And so, you know, a lot of these fields we do have integrate with the website. So like the mission and goal can show up in our member directory, all along with all of this kind of contact information and social media, the staff size. So you can use the categories. So like people can filter the member directory as well by some of the information that's captured here. Okay, so let's look at an individual kind of contact record. So we're going to look at Deborah, because Deborah has a couple of different affiliations. So you can see this is a very like standard contact record. Again, you've got like the highlight thing at the top, so you can see key information. So like, let's say people just wanted, you know, like you're just looking for her email address. Like if you click the email, it'll open up like in Outlook or whatever kind of your default email system is. Like you can just easily open up an email and center one, you know, phone number, title, kind of organization, and membership status, which, you know, is helpful for many of us, right? So again, like this comes right from the account. You don't have to like update it in multiple places. So whatever CF Lee's membership status is, like that's what we'll show here. So if it was prospective, that would also say prospective. If it was former, it would also say former. But it's nice that you don't need to then, like once somebody becomes a member, you only need to change it once on the account. You don't have to then go to all of the contacts and adjust their membership status as well. And the membership status is set by you, so there's no automated process set up in our package. Obviously, like you could build your own, but we've set it so like it doesn't just turn somebody off as a member because like they paid their dues 9 months late, or you know, you're waiting for them to like go through their grant cycle. to give you the grant that includes their membership. So current status is something that you can set whenever you feel comfortable. Some people like don't turn it until like it's been like 2 years. And so that's just something that's, I think, helpful for our system. The information, you know, all the basic contact info, the social media info, and again, this all can kind of also goes to the website, so people, when they're creating their website profile or they're editing it, like let's say like they can update their title, and that'll just update right back here. Address info, you know, you can capture multiple phone numbers and multiple email addresses. And this is kind of like basic admin info for the website. But the same stuff on the side, right? So like a contact can be affiliated with more than one account. So let's say they work at one, you know, foundation, but they are a trustee of another, or they're a trustee of, you know, 3 different foundations. You can have different affiliations for each. So, you know, they have to have like kind of like one primary account listed here, but they can also then be affiliated with those 2 other foundations as well. And you can also change like their organization role. So they could be this, you know, a staff at one organization, but like a board member of others. You can also track the history of it, right? So you just don't need to capture where they're currently working or where they're currently on the board, but also their previous. So like if they've worked at one foundation and they've moved to another, you know, like their contact record will still be the one contact record, but it'll have like a former affiliation with that other account that they used to work for. You can also see that Deborah is on she's on our one committee. So you can see that listed here. So she's on our planning committee for the conference. And we also kind of we have groups of, like for our CEOs, we just kind of put them together in one group. It helps us be able to kind of easily like report out on all of the CEOs. Like let's say like we just need to do like a mailing and we need to do it to all of the CEOs who are members. You just put them all in that one group and then we can easily do that. But you can also then restrict content on the website based on groups. So if we had a page on our site that we only wanted CEOs to access, we could then restrict it to only those people who are in that group. So when they logged in to the website, it would look and see, like, are you in this all CEO group? Yes. Now you can view this page. If no, then they'll just get a message that says, like, you can't access it.
So can I ask you a question? And maybe you're going to get to this, but I'm just curious about, I'm just thinking, so say we have a contact and it's a CEO of a community foundation who's also on our board, who also participates in our equity network. How can I like export information? Like, could I export the list of everyone who's on our board? Can I export a list of everyone who's in our equity network? Like, can you do that from here?
You can do that through, so you would have to you can build reports that will have that access, right? And so you can get to it through the report, but you can also then just like add a link to like that group's page, and we'll see if I actually have it set up on this one. So you can also just like have like a link or like a little button at the top that'll just easily take people right to that report, and then from there you can just export it and do whatever you need to do.
Okay, because I'm just thinking about, so my biggest needs, like we have, as you know, a database of all the community foundations in the US, and I have to export their email addresses to send e-blasts out. And like I might want to export a list of everyone who made us a gift in 2017. So that's all easy and doable, right?
Right.
Yeah, we currently use FIMS. I don't know if Val told you, and it's, you know, it's a multi-step process to just export data.
Yeah, no, we could, like, and we can help you. Like, when you first get started, we kind of usually go through kind of like reporting needs that like you absolutely need, like, right now, right? And so then we'll make sure that we work together to, like, make sure you have those built right away. So you can just get started and then you can easily also, like, change the dates, right? So if it's like, a report of kind of everybody who gave you a gift right in the past year, you can just have it set to be like the date is past year and not a specific date. So, like, every time you run that report, it's always pulling you past year. So 6 months from now, you're pulling past year from 6 months in the future plus the past, like, the other 6 months, right? But if you pulled the report today, that, like, past year would be different. So it's, like, easy. You don't have to always just, like, go in and change the date. Like, what do I mean by past year today?
Okay, great.
Just have it do, like, past 3 months, like, that kind of thing is really helpful.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Right. And Carolyn, the reporting in Salesforce is pretty robust, one of the best that I've ever seen. You can create automated reports that can be emailed to you and to staff. I always brag about this, that, like, we get weekly reports from Salesforce that Courtney configured for us. All kinds of snapshots, all engagements, all members, who renewed, who didn't renew. So without actually meeting about it, we know, and we start every staff meeting just looking sort of at those snapshots and dashboards every week, which is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And as far as mass mailing, it's we'll get to that probably at another time, but there are many programs that integrate with Salesforce, and Salesforce itself has a number of email blast programs. So the process that you're going right now in FIMS is going to be drastically different.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need, like a dashboard where we could quickly look at, who's given this year, who hasn't. I mean, like I told you, right now it's really cumbersome, partly because we haven't used FIMS correctly, and I have all this information stuck in the notes section, which is completely useless in terms of trying to export anything.
We have two organizations that switched from FIMS, so you'll be in a good company, and I'll certainly introduce you to them, and they'll walk you through the steps as well, just to highlight the differences, because they know much more than us about that particular program. But there's a reason why they switched.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, do you know how their migration went when they switched?
Yes, I think we touched on this earlier. Not to take time away from the demo, but migration processes can be very difficult and could be simple. If you export data into Excel, into the templates that we provide from FIMS, it should be pretty straightforward. But there are always, nuances that we can talk about. But they will, once I connect you to them, they'll share with you the migration path.
Okay.
In my recollection, it's been a little while ago. It's been fairly straightforward. We didn't have any tough issues with them.
Okay, great. Yeah, it'd be great if you could connect me and Julie to them.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay. So let's just quickly also just look at what, like, a group or committee record would look like. As you can see, like, it's still under accounts, right? But it looks very different to what we saw for an organization. So, for a group, we're capturing much smaller amounts of data, right? So we're looking at, like, the mission and the goal, who the staff rep is, like, different types of groups, right? So you can have, ours are, I think, committee, working group, and kind of a member network. So you can have different types of groups, which is just helpful for, like, reporting purposes too, right? So you can have active and inactive groups, again, so that you can kind of track the history. Like, maybe just kind of have a short-term working group for, like, a strategic plan or something. So, put that in here and track who's a part of it. And then once it's over, you just make that committee group inactive. And then and change these affiliations to former, but then you're still capturing that history. So then, in, like, 5 years or something, and you just kind of want to see overall, like, what has John Barnes, worked on with you all, and how is he engaged with your organization. You can see everything from like all of the organizations he was worked for, plus all of the committees that he was a part of. You can also track like the individual meetings, right? So planning calls for committees. I'm obviously very behind on doing the planning calls for the conference committee, so you can track like board meeting attendance. All of that is also possible in here. If if there's opportunities, like all of this stuff, since it's helpful and interrelated, it's all easy to kind of go from one place to the other. Okay, so let's look at an opportunity. An opportunity, again, is like anything to do with money, right? So for membership dues, so all opportunities, again, that highlight, right? And opportunities also have this added feature, this kind of like path of an opportunity. So like where are the stages that it's been, right? So, and it also tell you like how many days it was in a stage. So if it was like a grant, like how long was it in like prospecting versus when you sent in your grant proposal to when you got the grant agreement letter to when they officially paid it. You set what these are. So what are the stages that you need, and they're different per opportunity. So like the stages for a membership dues is different than the stages that are for a event registration or a grant or another donation. So membership detail, you can track how much they've paid, if it's a renewal or a new membership, or they're a returning member, membership start and end date. You can track the payment information. You can put it all into one campaign, and you can affiliate contacts with them, engagements, like all of the other kind of related objects that we've talked about. And it'll track kind of where it was in these stages for you, which can be just helpful to see, and who made the changes, right? So, there's always going to be, every record kind of has this created by person, and it also will tell you like who was the last person who modified it and when. So just in case like you're looking at a record and you're thinking like, that looks kind of weird, like why does it say that? You can kind of see like who was maybe the last person who did it. You can also set it up so it'll track the history of key fields on each object. You can only do like 20 fields, but you can track the history of it, so you can see like who made the change and like what was the original value and the new value. So like on April 23rd, Paris changed the stage field from pledge to paid. So all of that is kind of helpful to keep track of. It also kind of, I think, helps other users feel more comfortable, because sometimes people are nervous that they're going to mess things up, right? And so if you are tracking the history, then they feel more comfortable, like knowing that, they're not messing it up, they're not breaking the system. You can also easily set up like weekly exports of your data. So, if somebody does kind of mess something up, you can easily go back and see, what did that record look like a week ago? Which is helpful. One thing that's nice for like list views for opportunities is that you can also change it to this Kanban view. So let's look at new this week, right? So if it's in Kanban, you can then like drag and drop it. So like if this one came into being paid, like you could easily pull it over, or maybe it came in as partially paid, so you can like drag and drop things around. So if they have like a path at the top of the screen, you can move things around. And opportunities in terms of the website can be created automatically. So for event registrations, if people register through the website, it automatically creates that opportunity for you. If somebody just kind of pays an open invoice through the website, it'll automatically change that from maybe like pledged or invoiced to paid. So also helpful. So let's look at an event registration just so that you can see the different things that you can capture. So this is like an event registration. So you can see, it'll tell you what the type is. And this is all coming from the website directly, right? So you can see what the total is of the amount. The close date is like when they registered. You can also see in terms of the website, like a nice helpful link right to their registration on the website. So maybe like you just wanted to check and look at Deborah's registration, you could easily do that. And again, the same kind of related content is right there. Next, we're going to look at a grant opportunity. So you can decide to capture like grants and donations together, but if you kind of treat grants and like individual donations, maybe like from your board members or other individuals, you want to capture different information about those, you can have two different record types for those, or you could have them combined and kind of track the same information. But so this is a grant opportunity. You can, obviously you are going to give it, you can assign it to an organization so that when you're on that account, you'll see what it's for. You can see the amount, attach it to a campaign. So sometimes we have campaigns that are about different key areas of work. So like maybe we have like core member services and public policy and knowledge services and philanthropy education. And then you can also then have hierarchy, right? So then you can do like 2018 core member services underneath core member services. So that's all possible. The grant information, so like they ended up giving us in this test situation like $500,000, but we actually requested $550,000. So you can kind of keep track of that just for historical purposes, right? So like maybe like in 2 years when this grant's over and you're gonna go back and apply to them, like you don't need to then like go through all of your records to see like what was initially in our proposal. You can just go to Salesforce and see like we initially requested this amount and we were given that. The grant number, you can add your program areas. You can do the grants requirements website. So, you know, you don't have to, again, like look through your email to find where that was. If you're putting that information in Salesforce, like right when you get the grant, then all you need to do is just kind of go to this one place. You can track all of those dates and the payment information. But so for the like the related records for grants, you can do some additional cool things. So you can track and schedule the payments, right? So if it's a really nice grant and it's more than 1 year, you can add in all of the payments to that to the schedule in your kind of like grant agreement letter, right? So if you're scheduled to get, you know, the one payment right when you sign the letter, and then maybe a year later you're scheduled to get the second half, you know, you can schedule those out, and then it'll kind of appear in here and tell you when your next payment, how many payments you're getting, what's the remaining balance, like how many you've actually received. If, you know, GAU, general accounting units is important to you in terms of your grants tracking, you can do that, or any opportunity you can use the allocations, right? So you can, you know, break that grant down in how you are budgeting for that, right? So if like half of it is for Gen Ops and 200,000 of it is for racial equity work, and then 50,000 is for public policy, you can easily put that in out there, and so then you can report on that. So like, how are each of your grants allocated? You can do deliverables in here. So when is your final report due? When is the midterm report due, or the financial report? And so you can have multiple here. So if there was like an interim report and a final report, and put in those, you know, when is the date it was due? when the close date is the date you actually sent it in. So hopefully that's early or on time. But if you, you know, were behind and you sent it in late, you would still know that. So like maybe then you would see like, oh wow, like we sent the interim report like 2 weeks late, like for the final report, like let's make sure we send it in on the due date. And then like this next deliverable date like automatically updates for you. So this is showing that the next due date is this January 1st. But if there was another one, like if this one was marked as like completed and like if there was an interim, that would be the next deliverable date. So this is like automatic for you. You don't have to then like fill this in. Salesforce will tell you when your next deliverable date is, so you can kind of see that as a snapshot, and then you can look to your deliverables and see like what is the deliverable that's due. Any questions about grants?
Oh, that's great.
Okay. You can also track sponsorships if that is, you know, an exciting thing. If you have sponsors for events or anything, you can track sponsors separately. And the one thing that I'll point out there is like it's helpful to track like the sponsorship category, and you can kind of track the benefits as well. So the rest of the page is very similar to what we've looked at before, so I won't go into that, but just to let you know. And then you can easily run reports that are just on sponsorships and like just on sponsorships for that event. Let's just look at an event campaign so that you can see that. So this is also usually for events and meetings. There's automatically created for you right from the website. So if you're integrating with Drupal, there's just a checkbox as you're adding an event to your calendar that says, you know, share with Salesforce, and you say yes, and then you tell it what its campaign name will be, and then it will fill in a lot of these fields for you automatically. So you don't need to set the location, the start date, and time. Again, like that's just going to happen for you automatically, which is very helpful because then you're not like duplicating effort. Registrations are, you know, so the people who are a part of a campaign are campaign members. So if this is an event and meeting, those are your registrants. If your campaign is a newsletter or some other type of, you know, email blast, then it's the people who were sent that email. If it's like a dues campaign, your campaign members could be like the people that you contacted about renewing. And then, so campaign members for events, like all of this kind of automatically happens for you. So like it automatically counts that there are 244 people registered. You have 2 people who canceled. So you don't need to like keep these numbers updated yourself. It just happens automatically. Same thing with the opportunities. So you can see all of your event registrations right here. If you use like a third-party system, maybe like ReadyTalk or something like that for webinars, it's possible that it has an integration with Salesforce. And so if people register through that kind of webinar system, it'll automatically kind of push those over into Salesforce. So again, like you don't need to, you know, do the registration in 2 places. It's kind of all interconnected. So for engagement, you can track, as I said at the very beginning, like you can track not just how you're engaging with your members, but also maybe how you're engaging with your vendors so that you can keep track of like the meetings that you're having or emails that you've exchanged with them. But also you can keep track of your members and like what benefits are they using? Have you highlighted them in an email or in your on your website? You can track, like we track if people compile a listserv query. These are all things that you can kind of set for yourself. Like what do you care about in terms of how you're engaging with your members and your funders and your other type of partner organizations. You can also like create these automatically. So we have it set up where you can create engagements directly from your email. So like it's just like a BCC email address that's set up. And so like if you are having an email conversation with Nagib at Gate, you would be able to then just, you know, say like, it was great to meet with you, Nagib, blah, 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 blah. And then you would, you know, put that email address in the BCC and it would automatically create this record for you. And it would put the email in there as well. So here's an example of one that was just created via email. It fills in the date, it fills in the contact and the organization, all based on who received this email. It fills, and then it will fill in into this notes section, like a copy of the email. So here's what Joyce received when she renewed. Should I mention engagement scoring, Val, or is it safe harbor?
Let's move on because we don't have a lot of time. But this is something that we're working on right now, and we will be launching new feature on actually assigning score to all of your engagements, so you can have a snapshot of how well each of your members are engaged. It's pretty complicated and advanced functionality, but you know, let's cross that bridge sort of when we get there.
Okay, so let's move to reports and dashboards. So one thing that I didn't cover yet is that you can favorite records, any record. You could favorite this engagement, you could favorite an account, but I find it helpful for like reports and dashboards and campaigns. So like right now, you know, our annual conference is next month. So right now I have like the campaign for that event favorited, and I also kind of have the big report that we do and kind of the dashboard favorited. So they're always available easy right here at the top to just quickly go to. But we're going to look at this one. Oh, sorry. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so we're going to look at a sample report. So this is just pulling all of our conference sponsorships from this year. So this is kind of a pretty basic opportunity report. But as you can see, you know, it's pulling everything that is a sponsorship record that is affiliated with our 2018 conference. And it's like easy, again, like these are all links. So then if you're on this report and you just wanted to see more about Annie E. Casey's sponsorship, you can easily open this record. Again, you can easily open the Casey Foundation account record. We're doing the amount, so you can add this up and have a grand total here. You could also do average, min, and max. And that you can do on anything that kind of has a number in it, so for counting. So you don't need to do that math yourself. You can also group things together all in a report. So this is being grouped by the stage. So it's showing us like here's the invoice versus here are the paid. And then you set what these columns are, right? So if you're capturing it on that sponsorship record, you could have a column for that information. You can also add little charts to reports, which is especially helpful now because if you click on a specific piece of it, it will filter the report below automatically for you. So if I clicked on invoice, it automatically filters the report to just show me the records that are captured in this part of the chart, which is very helpful. In terms of like additional items that you can do with it, so you can subscribe to a report. So then you would automatically get it sent to you every day, every week on Monday at 10 a.m. Or you want it monthly on the, you know, first day of the month or the first Monday at this time. So all of that, and then it'll come to you in an email. It'll kind of put this in the email, and then you can also, it'll also have a link where you can then just open the report in Salesforce to do, if you need to do any edits to it or work with any record, you could just go to it from there. You can also export it. So you can export it so it kind of looks how it looks in Salesforce. So maybe you don't actually need to work with it, but you need to send it to somebody outside of your organization. But you still kind of want it to look a little like prettier and you don't want to have to do the formatting yourself. You can like export this formatted report, but if you're gonna like need to work with it a little bit and do your own stuff to it, you can just also export like a very like basic Excel version where it doesn't have any formatting. And you can export it right at any time. And the report could be like the data in the report is always the latest data, right? So if somebody else in our organization was working on this Casey Foundation, like let's say like maybe we marked that as paid, if like, 30 seconds ago, and if I went and opened and refreshed the report, this would then already say that it was paid and it would move. So there's no real like delay in between when an update is made on a record versus when it will appear in the report. And for like editing purposes of a report, it's it's pretty robust. So you can choose which fields you want to bring in, which columns, and you can move them around. You can, sorry, that was like a whole brand new view for me, so I'm gonna open it in this so I know what I'm looking at. So you can move the columns around. You can decide to add new columns, so they're easy to kind of drag and drop around. Add new filters are easy. You can you just drag this field up and say like, I only want to see the ones who were like created today. I don't know if we have any today, so let's do this thing. And so we don't have any, nobody registered yesterday. So you can easily add new filters and kind of remove stuff. But so like, let's say we run that report again. Like now it's already has the changes that we made to them automatically. So you've got the account name is now over here, and we've added created date, and now we're sorting by created date. So those things, easy to update and easy to change. In terms of dashboards, so this is our dashboard for the conference right now. So it's showing our total registration numbers, total unique organizations who are registered, where we are in sponsorships and registration and specific sessions. How does this break down in terms of membership status? So you can do all of these kind of different views. For like membership, we have it so you can do gauges on like where you are for the year. So in terms like maybe for fundraising, like you're expecting to get this amount this year. So where are you in that gauge? And like you set these numbers, so you set like what the total is and what the red, yellow, and green ranges are. You can also do like these lists of organizations and like, so here's everybody who's paid their membership and like what they've paid us. And if you just want to get into more detail about that, like if you're like, well, this is a nice chart, but like, what does it mean? Like, what's the data behind it? You can then just click on it and it'll open up that report for you automatically. It'll also do filters. So if you like click on that portion of it, it'll only give you those. So I clicked on the regional PSOs category for the membership revenue. So that report that it opened for me is automatically just showing me the regional PSO portion. And again, you can subscribe to these so that you get them every day, every week, and you can send them to other people on your staff. So if all of your staff want to get the fundraising dashboard for the the week, for the month, then you can schedule that automatically for you, so then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, any questions?